Is your paper getting out of control? I'm going to share how I recently updated my paper storage, as well as a bonus tip if you stick around. One thing that us paper crafters have in common is paper. And typically we have a lot of it. And it comes in all different sizes, so we do need to be aware of how we're going to store it to get the most from it. Now I have A4 white cardstock, A4 coloured cardstock, I've got 12 by 12 coloured cardstock, I've got paper panels, I've also got design paper. And I'm going to walk you through how I've updated my storage using storage ideas that I was already using but had outgrown. So I have some 12 by 12 coloured cardstock that I haven't been using very much at all. I've pretty much moved across to A4 coloured cardstock. And I really like these 12 by 12 storage bins because they can help me with my cardstock keep it separated and also to help it stop falling over. And I was keeping the paper in its original packaging and it just wasn't working for me because it was starting to get ratty and torn the more I go in and out of the packaging. So I decided to upgrade to some plastic sleeves. When I was choosing the sleeves for my cardstock, I wanted to make sure they had a few attributes. Like I wanted them to be clear so that I could see the coloured cardstock in it. I wanted to be able to label the cardstock so that I can remember what they are. When I use them for a design team, I can share the exact colours with you. I also wanted to have something that was fairly sturdy and easy to get into. They also needed to be affordable and available. So it was no good buying something that was going to work out very expensive. So these kind of ticked all of those boxes. And I will link everything that I've used, if possible, in the description below, but also have more details at my blog. So I have recently upgraded my stash to A4 cardstock, coloured cardstock, and I just reached for this so much more than I ever reached for the 12 by 12. So it made sense to make this more user-friendly. And I'm someone who's very visual. If I don't see something, I won't use it. So I do need to have it nearby and easily accessible. Now I store my cardstock by manufacturer and then in rainbow order. This way I can find it quickly and I know exactly what I'm using. But if you don't have to worry about that, then I find that rainbow order tends to work the best when you're looking for a particular colour. Now, when I bought these pockets, I wasn't very sure about the snap that closes them shut because I knew that was going to bulk it out. And I really didn't want to add too much bulk because space is premium and plus it adds another step really to opening it and getting the cardstock out. And I am going to store them with the closed end of the pocket down, so I knew that I would have enough space to put the scraps of cardstock within the pocket as well as the A4 and it wouldn't fall out because I'll be able to close the flap, and I'll show you how I fix that in a moment. And I kind of decided that it just wasn't going to work with those snaps in place, so I just found that they were too top heavy and taking up too much space, so I did come back and remove those snaps and used a pair of heavyweight tweezers like forceps to do that with. And then I came in with my Precision. This is just a heavy paper trimmer. You could use scissors, you could just use a craft blade and a metal ruler just to cut away that portion of the flap that had the other side of the snap. And that way I could just tuck the top of that flap inside and it's much flatter, and I'm going to fit a lot more colours in my storage space. So these pockets I used for the A4 cardstock. I also came in and used them for some of my specialty papers as well. Because one of my problems was I wasn't able to find my specialty papers easily. And I'm talking about things like ivory cardstock or cardstock that has a texture or even metallic cardstocks. So by having these separate, it just makes them easier for me to find. So this is what it looked like before. I had everything sort of shoved in. It was hard to get the papers, every time I wanted to get a cardstock out, I had to pull out my 12 by 12 organisational folder and then get the paper out that way. So it was a real pain. So what I did was I actually flipped the organiser around and used it almost as a divider in this open shelf unit. And what that is doing is just stopping these cardstocks from falling over, as well as giving me a way to separate the colours and the manufacturer. So that was working really well for me. And I already had these dividers, and they're not particularly expensive, and they last a very long time. I reckon I've had some of these for more than 10 years now. And even my upright cardstock, when I kept that in it, that didn't bend or warp. And don't these colours look really pretty together in the rainbow water? So I didn't think this job was going to be quite as big as it turned out, but it's been great for me to reorganise everything, because I had this 12 by 12 cardstock sitting right behind me in pole position, and I wasn't using it pretty much ever. The only time I was really using it is if I wanted a specific colour that I didn't have. And nowadays I probably would just blend that with my blending tool and an ink. And the other time I may use it is with my electronic cutting machine. So I decided to go through it. This paper is many, many years old, and it was just weighing on me, having it sitting there. So I figured that would be a better place to store my specialty cardstocks, and I could give this to someone that is going to use it. Now, I've got friends that are paper crafters and friends that are teachers, so I basically went through, chose a few of my favourite colours. I did still keep, I think I had 4 originally, 4 of those organisational holders, and I narrowed the whole thing down to 2 in the end, but not even 2 full ones. So I did cull a lot of cardstock here, but I'm never going to use it. And I found that some of the edges were fading on the cardstock, and I just thinking, well, it might as well go to a home where it's going to be loved and used. So it just made me happy knowing that I had still access to this cardstock, but in much more reasonable quantity than I'm ever going to need. And I may still never use it, but I'll give it forward then. And this is my bottom shelf of coloured cardstock now, so I can reach this. Oh, and check out those little plastic bins there. I'm going to walk you through them soon. But I also wanted to let you know, because I labelled these plastic sleeves, I made sure that I faced the label in the direction where I can see it from where I'm sitting. The other thing you could do, I thought about doing, was adding some tabs. So this is where I had the 12 by 12 cardstock. I've got some more of the 12 by 12 organisational holders, and I'm going to do the same thing again. I'm going to use them as dividers. So they are going to help keep all my cardstocks upright and accessible without all falling over every time I want to get 1 out or 2 out or 3 out. And here's something that was released after I'd bought all my plastic sleeves. It was exactly what I wanted. Altenew have released some large plastic sleeves. They're 9 inches by 11.5 inches. They fit one of the packets of paper perfectly. There's no snap or press stud that needs to be removed. It does have a little a slot where you can feed the tab in, but I found it just easier to tuck it into the whole plastic sleeve like I did on the other. And one thing I will say about this is they are really perfect for 1 packet of cardstock, but you wouldn't be able to fit 2 packets in. They have some give, like you can put all the scraps and everything in there, but they're not big enough to hold the 2 packets of cardstock. And if I had have known about these before I had the other plastic sleeves, I probably would have gone down that track because they're lovely. Okay, so this is where I have got all my specialty cardstocks now. I have a couple of 12 by 12 design paper pads. I've got my metallic cardstocks, and also just, you know, those weird things that you don't want to get rid of because they're hard to find again. Like I've got some sticky bark, I've got some textured cardstocks like with wood texture, and then I've put all of my watercolor cardstock together. Next I want to tackle my A4 white cardstock. Now I keep that in some of the in trays. So these are stackable in trays. They're very affordable, and I keep my white cardstock all together. But what was happening is I was putting all my specialty cardstocks in there as well, and it was just getting too busy. I was having trouble getting out the cardstocks that I needed. So what I did was pulled out the specialty cardstocks, put them over in the other section, and just narrowed these back down to just my white cardstocks that I'm using all the time, because I've got a couple of new ones I'm using. But I do have one of these. It's just a plastic insert that's out of a different in tray that I'm using as a drawer for my bigger scraps. I do like to make my own card bases, and I also like to cut down some A2 cardstock panels ready to use. It makes life much simpler, quicker, easier to have them all ready to go. And I do this in a production line sort of style. So my card bases, I like to use a heavyweight cardstock, and then I use a lighter weight for my panels. Because I've started using some different white cardstocks now, I was finding, because I had to go ahead and make the bases, I wasn't reaching for them as often. So I wanted to create some more space so that I can make my card bases, fold them, make my A2 panels, and have everything all set ready to go. I've been storing my pre-made card bases and panels in it's almost like a 6.5 by 6.5, I think, inch square box. It's got open fronts on it. Now, these aren't always available and they can get quite expensive. So when I was trying to source another or some more of these, I just wasn't going to pay whatever they were asking for it. So I found another one, was on Amazon, and I think they're called makeup drawers or makeup cases, but I will link them as well. And I bought a couple of these. They come with drawers, but I don't want the drawers. I just want to use it as an open system. But if you're happy to open drawers and get out cardstock, go for it. Me, it's just easier to stick my hand in and grab it. I don't want to be having to worry about open drawers to get things out. So it's a very similar size to the other, but it does have 3 shelves in it. So now what I've done is I've created another section for the new the new white cardstocks that I'm using. So I've got my card bases ready made, I've got my panels ready made, I'm keeping my envelopes in there, I'm keeping my scrap white cardstock that I make my extra die cuts with when I'm building them up, and it's all ready to go. It's working really well for me. Now I do want to touch quickly on how I store my 6x6 paper pads, my foil art. I used some tubs, so these are quite sturdy, these tubs. I've been using different versions of these over the years. I don't keep a lot of design paper. It's mostly sort of background stuff that I use, so they're the ones that I keep, and if they're easy to get at, I'm more likely to use them. So I have a variety of design papers here, all my 6x6 pads, and then I have my Altenew ones here because I'm on the design team for them. But I also have the Altenew, I think they're the 3x6 inch paper packs, as well as the glitter cardstock. So these all fit perfectly in my shelf that I have sitting behind me. I don't use these cardstocks as often as I do the A4, but I know they're there. Did you see these plastic folders here? I did promise you a bonus tip. And these are wonderful. I've been using them for years. They are A4 storage folders. Now they're hard covers. There's all different kinds around. But I use these for years when I go traveling and I take away stamped images and also colouring things or anything. They fit anything in them. But recently I've started using them for vellum, for acetate, to store all of my masking paper together, to store all of my A4 adhesive sheets together. These are things that I found wouldn't stand upright very well on their own in paper storage, and then they would get ruined because they were getting squished by all the other heavyweight cardstock. It's cruel, I know, they're rude, they just should stay and play nice with the other paper, but they don't. But this has been a game changer. I do need to label the outside of these so that I can just grab them and know which one's which. Let me know in the comments below which storage tip you like the best, and if you're going to try any of these ideas, and if you have any tips you'd like to share with us for your favourite paper storage. I'd love to hear. Actually, we'd all love to hear it. I've linked a couple more videos here for you, and I look forward to seeing you there. If you liked today's video, please click on the like button, and if you haven't already, subscribe. What are you waiting for? It's totally free. Until next time, happy paper crafting. Bye.